Hey neighbor, I hope you're doing well. We're getting to the end of our spring gardening season where we're transitioning into summertime, and we have some spots and some raised beds and some plots that are coming off our spring crops. Now us as gardeners know, and we know we should do this, we should keep something planted in those plots. We should flip those beds, and flipping means as soon as we get a crop off from there, let's put something else back on there. Several different reasons: for nutrient recycle, to keep your nutrients cycled up, keep them going away. Also for weed control, adding organic matter to our soil. There's a whole host of reasons why we should not let our plots, our raised beds, sit idle. And you know what, at the end of the day, we're gardeners. That's what we do, we grow things. So we need to utilize as much as possible. Sometimes in some of these seasons, like the hot summertime, we get a little, don't know what to do. What do we flip these things to? Well, today, I'm gonna give you some ideas on what you can flip those spring plots to transition into summertime gardening. So we're gonna do this two different ways. We're gonna give the variations. If you got plots like I've got right here that I need to plant, and also raised beds, because we got those raised beds that are coming off squash and other things. Sometimes we need to think about planting different type crops in raised beds as we do the bigger plots. All right, the first one we're going to talk about is sunflowers, because sunflowers love the heat. They do well in the middle of the summertime, and we love to feed those pollinators, and it's an added benefit as a cut flower and a cover crop. It does a little bit of everything. So let's talk about teddy bear sunflower as using in a plot, in-ground planting. This is a good one here. It's beautiful. It's something I don't plant a lot of, sometimes the teddy bear variety, but it's actually unique the way the flower is there. So this is a great choice right here for planting those smaller plots. Now, if we're going to plant in raised beds and we're going to use sunflowers, let's use a dwarf variety such as Sunspot dwarf sunflower here. We've got several of these dwarf types, but these are really good for raised beds because they don't get over about 2.5 or 3 foot high at the most. So they're short, they work really good for container plantings and raised beds there, easy to manage there, make big blooms. They're pretty, they're just short, which is ideal when we're planting in those containers and raised beds. Next up is okra. All right. We know okra loves the heat, so okra is a good plant to keep growing all during the summertime. I've got jambalaya planted right now, and it's coming in producing well. But if I was going to switch up this summer, I would go with red burgundy. It's a variety that I've grown a lot. It's a red okra, does extremely well. It's very consistent in pod size if you want to do pickling. When you cook it, it's going to turn green. You can't tell the difference. But I like red burgundy because of the consistency of the pod size, ideal for pickling. So if I'm planting okra right now in the ground, I'm going to plant red burgundy. Now, what if you want to plant okra and you got containers, you got raised beds, or you got root pouches? Hey, green fingers okra here is a good one. Days of maturity is 50 days of maturity, so it's a quick grower right here. This is a small plant okra that is ideal for raised beds and containers here. Green fingers right there. So if you want to grow okra and you got small spaces, green fingers fits the bill. All right, so let's move into those beautiful zinnias. If you're going to plant containers, get you a dwarf variety here so you can manage it well. How about a dwarf zinnia mix here? Smaller blooms than some of the bigger zinnias, but absolutely beautiful. Makes a huge showing right there. 60 days to maturity. You can direct seed these in containers and raised beds and do wonderful right here. So if I'm planting on containers, raised beds, I want a smaller one that I can control, manage, and that dwarf zinnia right there fits the bill. Now I tried to pick out one zinnia for in-ground planting, and now some of these could actually roll over into raised beds, but I think they're probably better suited for in-ground. And as I was going through my list there, I just had a hard time picking just one. So I think I got, oh man, I got two right here I want to show you. Benary giant orange zinnia. Man, ain't that thing beautiful right there. It works wonderful in ground. It's going to get up about, the blooms going about hip high on me. It's about as high as they're going to get. So it's better, I think it's better suited for in-ground planting, larger plant. These Benaries are known to have a very strong stem. They're great for cut flowers, pollinators love them. They just work good in the heat and midsummer planting there. So you got Benary, giant orange there. And we got a new one right here, lemon, peach, Queeny, zinnia. This one right here may not have quite as strong as a stem as Benary does, but look at the unique color on this right here. This is a new one we added last year, and these Queenys just, man, they just bust with them absolutely wonderful colors right there. So these are the good ones. Probably not the best cut flower variety out there. The uniqueness of the color of the bloom just makes it worthwhile. So we got all right there of some options that you can plant when you flip those beds for summer plant, but let me show you one I'm going to use today. I'm going with borage. Now borage is one of those unusual ones that is a cover crop, an herb, and it does all kind of wonderful things. Now I'm going to be honest with you, I've never planted borage before. This is my first time. I've done a little research on it. And it has a good edible flower. You can actually use the leaf as an herb to eat, or it has medicinal purposes as well. I want to use the leaf as a herb, and also the main thing is the flowers on these things are edible. So the flowers is going to be used to garnish some things. I'm interested to try that. Probably the two main reasons I'm going to plant this today is I've never planted it before, but the bees absolutely love it. So being able to grow these plants in the summertime that my pollinators love, and I can keep them on the farm here and keep them active, and I can get the side effect of having an herb plus a cover crop, because this thing is going to keep our nutrients cycled up. I think it's a win-win. Now I'm going to plant this in ground and in my raised bed, so I think this will go both ways. Some people call this star flower. But this is one I'm excited to plant today because I think it does so much. And we can direct seed this, it takes the heat, and we're excited about planting it in a raised bed and in the ground and just see how well it does. Now this plot here is where I had my potatoes, and I grew another spring crop of our nest and multiplying onions. I went there and tilled it a couple times, so I got it worked pretty good. But there's a couple weeds still coming up here. So what I'm gonna do is take my BCS bed roller or bed preparation tool there and run through here and level this out, and it's going to work shallow cultivation on this right here, flatten it out and get it perfect ready to plant with my Hall's garden seeder with the drill hopper. Now, I'm not going to use drip irrigation on this borage because I'm going to view it as a cover crop. Although I am going to try to harvest some of the leaves and flowers, I'm probably going to have more than plenty. I kind of view this as a low value crop. I don't want to invest in drip tape on there. I'm going to use overhead irrigation. Now my spacing, I'm going to plant with my drill hopper. I'm going to plant in a row fairly thick, but I'm going to just try to plant about 2 foot apart. I want to get far enough apart so I can get my wheel hoe in there and cultivate those middles to keep the weeds under control. But I think that'll be ideal. It's not going to be perfect, but hey, this is a cover crop. Now this borage seed here is decent size, which is going to make it ideal for our drill hopper right there. All right, I'm going to check my gate opening there. I set it where I thought it needed to be, and I'm just testing now. That looks pretty dead gum perfect. Maybe increase it just, I don't know. That's pretty good right there. I'm not going to use my row marker or nothing. I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. That'll work fine. About 2 foot is what I'm wanting. As you can tell, my ground's kind of dry and dusty. We in need of some rain here now. I planted this about a 1/2 inch deep, which is going to be perfect because I got overhead irrigation that I'm going to water it in with and keep it watered. So if you're dealing with overhead irrigation, you can get by planting it shallower than you can if you don't have any irrigation. If you're planting this on dry ground that you're not going to be able to water, I would probably go 3/4 of an inch deep at least to help it control that moisture to get it up. All right, on my big plot out there, I didn't put any fertilizer down. I'll probably put some down after my plants come up. Now you can do a pre-plant. I just normally on my bigger plots, I wait till my plants come up and put up. My raised beds, for some reason, I like to do them a little bit different. I guess it's just easier. But on my raised beds, I always like to put my complete organic down before I plant. Just kind of sprinkle it out there where your rose is going to be. And what this is going to do, it's going to buy me some time after these plants come up. If I don't get back to fertilize them, it's going to be there. And it's got a pretty good long release time on there. So it's got some slow release in it, is what I'm trying to say. So I just put it in there, sprinkle it in there, work it in with my hand, incorporate it into the soil. Just like that, level it back out, just play it in the dirt, y'all. Then I'm gonna lay my irrigation lines back out there, my drip tubing, because I've already got irrigation in my raised beds. Take my little pins, pin it back down. Then I am ready to plant. Now I'm just gonna make me a little trench there. I'm gonna keep these watered well, so I don't need to plant them very deep. This drip tubing has emitters every 6 inches, so it's going to saturate the whole row pretty good. And look here, I'm just going to sprinkle out these seeds. I may have to come back and thin them a little bit, I don't know. That looks about right to me. Doesn't take much. One of the little seed packs that we sell, I think, would be more than a plenty for a raised bed. If you're going to plant it in a plot like I did out there, you probably want to buy you a bigger pack of seeds. So folks, bed flipping. Keep them beds flipped, keep something growing. It's summertime. There's some ideas for you to use, what you may want to plant. Everybody's got their own opinion of what they may want. Cut flowers, something for your bees, maybe some herbs, okra, maybe you can get some good eating off of it. But something that loves the heat, that can stand a little bit of dry weather, is what you need to flip them beds for the summertime. You know, we gardeners and we just love growing, and that's what we ought to be doing.